we're going to go live in the next few seconds. We'll go live, then I can send you guys the key. All right, we are live. We are live, and let me send you guys the key for your own benefits. All right, so there you have the link. And let's do this from the beginning. All right, good morning. Those listening to me live and those who will be listening to me maybe in years to come, maybe 20 years from now, you stumble on this class. This is the introduction, the first class in Christ and culture. We're looking at the Bible, and before now, I've listened to some of the brothers share their thoughts. Listening to Charlie, I listened to Timothy, and all I want to say is the topic of Christ and culture is extremely important. It's extremely, extremely important for you as a minister or as somebody who does anything that is global. Even if what you're doing is not a global thing, it still is important. Even if it's not a global thing, I'll still consider it very, very important. So you have to pay careful attention at Christ and culture. I know that when Charlie was speaking, it sounded more like, well, it doesn't bother him. But I would like to say it should bother you what Christ and culture is. You see, Christ and culture actually falls into a branch of apologetics. In apologetics, you are giving a defense, like apologia. Apologia is giving a defense. And there are two kinds. There is classical apologetics, that is a priori apologetics, and there is the presuppositional apologetics. And that's the apostoliary apologetics. There's classical apologetics and the presuppositional apologetics. And Christ and culture, falls within the presuppositional apologetics. In classical apologetics, you are telling people this is why I believe what I do. But in this one, you are going in something much more different a bit. Now, this is an animated version of the globe, because we are dealing with world missions. Because we are dealing with world mission, then you know that your preaching is not just if you are in Liberia, you're not just going to stay in Liberia your life. If you're in Lagos, you can't be in Lagos all your life. Even in Nigeria, there are different kinds of culture. The southern culture of Nigeria is different from the eastern culture, or even the south culture, or the middle belt culture, or the northeast culture, or the northwest culture. Even in a country as as ours, cultural differences always exist. So when you say Christ and culture, just like what Nebo in his book, he's trying to say, now we're not going to go deep into the book today. By next week, Monday, God willing, we are going to be going more into the the book. You hear chapters like Christ of culture, Christ against culture, Christ this or culture. So right from the beginning of the Christian church began in Jerusalem, and it was predominantly a Jewish culture. So we among the Jews, they already have the same similar ethics. I want to put it that way. They already have similar ethics, similar. I mean, they worship on the same day. They eat the same kind of food in a particular way. They worship the same God. So there were very little thing for them to actually fight over. But as the church begins now to encounter other cultures, beginning from Antioch, that Antioch explosion happened when Paul, Barnabas, and those guys, Silas, they were sent out to now become apostles and ministers to those outside. The church now began encountering other cultures. The church at that point began to encounter other cultures apart from theirs. I'll give you an example too. The reason why the study of Christ and culture is so important. For example, I love traveling and I love teaching. And each time I travel, I encounter all kinds of culture. For example, when I went to India, I for the first time, for the first time, I found out that the way church is not the same way they do things over there. The way we dress here is not the same way they dress. Dressing, they don't have public show of affection. They don't have this public show of affection. That's why if you watch Indian films, they don't kiss and so on and so forth. So you can imagine, my wife and I in New Delhi, in India, walking on the streets, holding hands, and of course, I'm black, and she looks a bit Indian, and you can imagine all the eyes just looking at us because we are encountering a different culture. Even food over there, they worship cow. So an average Indian does not eat meat, and you see some things that they cook and you think it's meat, but they're just pastries, vegetables, flour. That's also encountering culture. So as long as you are going to take the gospel outside your vicinity, you must learn about culture. So what do we do? Are we going to, as we take the church, are we going to go and eradicate the culture of the people? Is that what Jesus Christ is all about? Are we going to go and impose our own culture on them? Is that what church is all about? Are we going to go and okay, let's marry the two cultures together? Is that what it's all about? Are we going to say, you know what? When we go there, we become just like them? See, this is the question that missionaries and people of the Bible has always battled through, and that is what we too have to also battle through. You see, one of the biggest criticism against European Christianity. When I say European Christianity, a lot of our Christianity that we know in Africa came from Europe. I remember when I was a little boy, I guess I was like 10 years old. And those days, my father bought us suits. And that was like the best clothes we have. We have one suit, and it was a three-piece suit then. And we also have a traditional wear, like all these lace. So there was a day we were going out. I can't remember what we were going, and I wore my suit. We were going out. I think to church, from there to somewhere. We go for an outing. I'm my friend, my landlord's son. Get to me and say, why are you wearing suit? Are you a pastor? Don't you know it's pastors that wear suit? Yeah. So because it is mine, it's pastors, what they wear is suit, traditional wear of pastors, even here in our country. Even here in our country. I remember just about 10 years ago, when my wife and I just started leading the campus, we're leading both Shoboshi and campus together. And there was a time another minister, we now invited the minister to come and join so they can help us lead one part. So we normally take turns every week to preach. So now was you preach this week, I preach next week, whatever. And because I just left the islands, I just came from the islands where I practically wear suits every day, I wear tie. So when I come to church, not now that I just wear, I dress down, I always dress up. So that, there was this day I wore my jacket, my nice tie, my shirt, and everything. I came to church. And during fellowship break, one of the sisters, one of the married women, came to me and said, bro, are you preaching today? I said, why do you ask? You are dressed with a suit. So in their mind, when you want to climb the pulpit, you have to wear a suit and tie. And for many years, that has been what traditional evangelicalism, actually been, and Christianity. Pastors will always wear suits. And I know the person who broke that jinx for us in Lagos was our brother Onyechi Ogwaya, the late Onyechi Ogwaya. When he came to lead the church, he began to encourage us to begin to dress African. We began having African service. He was one that actually introduced drums. I remember one day he called a lot of the song leaders and people to his house. I said, guys, let's write down people's songs. Let's write down traditional songs. It began to, because our church initially was predominantly British, because the church in Lagos was founded by the London church. So our singing was a cappella. Our singing was very British, always English. Nichina said, no, let's start singing our own dialect. So you could see the clash of culture that we had. And we are all speaking English and everything. So how do we how do we encounter the word or engage the word with this culture? That's why the study of Christ and culture is very important. Let me give you an example. In the book of Luke, chapter, hold on, let me just take my Bible here. In the book of Luke, chapter 20, in verse 19, there is an incident that happened. You already know what that incident is. Jesus Christ was being challenged by some people who don't like him, very much, and they put something before him. It becomes to do or not to do. If you do, what will he say? And in verse 19 of that Luke chapter 20, I want us to listen carefully to what's transpired. You already know the story. Let me see. You already know the story here. Here it reads here. It says here in verse 19. It said the church of the law and the chief priests looked for a way to arrest him. That is Jesus. Look for a way to arrest him immediately, because they knew he had spoken this parable against them, but they were afraid of the people. Now, keeping a close watch on him, they sent spies who pretended to be sincere. They sent spies who pretended to be sincere. They hoped to catch him in something he said, so that they might hand him over to the power and authority of the governor. So they want to catch him, and that's why you have to know culture. If you don't know culture as a disciple, you might be trapped in in some things. So they look for a way to trap. So in verse 21, so they question him, teacher, we know that you speak and teach what is right. Of course, that is patronizing him. He said, we know. So if you know, then why are you bothering him? Then why are you not his disciples? Know that because you are not sincere themselves. He said, we know that you speak and teach what is right, and that you do not show partiality, but teach the way of God in accordance with the truth. So in other words, what else do they want? You see, people are going to find a way to rope you in. They now ask this question, is it right for us to pay taxes to Caesar or not? Is it right for us to pay taxes to Caesar or not? Now, at this point, I would like to throw it open to you guys. What do you think the implication of the, you already know the answer that just guys gave. What do you think the implication of this will be? Is it right to pay taxes to Caesar or not? The Bible says that just guys saw their duplicity. Duplicity. That means two sides. Now, I will throw it open to all of you at this time. If you don't pay, if Christ were to say, don't pay, what do you think the problem will be? Come on, guys, unmute yourself. If Christ says, well, don't pay to Caesar. So the question is about what do you do in that kind of situation, given the culture around them? If you say don't pay, then what will be the answer? Just tell who is speaking. Let me know who is speaking.
Okay. All right. This is Collins, and
okay.
So for me, it's like I think they are trying to put Christ in his spot to justify their own minds and their own desire. I think for them they think the tax is actually too much. It's actually much for them. So they want to justify. They want something to justify their action. So I think that's why they're kind of asking Christ to choose a side. So they will say, okay, Christ choose this side since he's the Messiah because of the accolade they have given to him. So let us follow this side. So I think it's just to justify their desire. But I think Christ was smart about it. If Christ will say don't pay, I think it's going to cause chaos. There will be chaos in that.
What exactly will happen? If Christ says, well, guys, don't pay tax to Caesar, what's the implication of that?
Yeah, like I said, there'll be chaos. Yes, for me, I think people who want to follow Christ, people that disciples I had that time, they want to follow Christ and they won't pay. And if they don't pay, it's going to be chaos. And probably, I don't know if Christ would have, eventually, make it to the cross. So I think there'll be chaos. That's what I think. There'll be chaos if they don't pay.
Okay, there'll be chaos if you don't pay. Does anybody have any other interest, any other answer?
Okay, for me, looking at the topic under discussion, Christ and culture. Exactly, this is what was happening there. Christ was there, and the culture was confronting him. And the culture there is that pay tax to Caesar. That was the customary thing to do. Now, somebody asked the question. I think the question arose from the mindset that, oh, it seems like this man is against our culture and wants to eradicate our culture. So that question, I believe that question came from that perception. So the person asked the question, okay, should we pay tax to Caesar, or we don't pay tax to Caesar? So Jesus Christ's answer was very clear. Now, Jesus Christ tried to show these men that I did not come to eradicate your culture. No, I only came to make you to do what is right in your culture. So this similar thing happened in my country. In a compound we used a generator. For the church we used a generator. And hello.
Yeah, continue.
Okay, so in a compound we use generator for the church when there is no light. We use the 45 kVA generator for the compound. So at this time, petrol was scarce. So there was a coupon. I had a $75 coupon to go to the total and then get the fuel. But when I carried the coupon, and actually, I'm not going to pay anything because I already get my coupon. I wanted to give my coupon to this man, and then he pumped my fuel. But then this man said, for me to pump my coupon, I'm going to pay 500 Liberian dollars. I said, for why? Why should I pay 500 Liberian dollars? It is not something that I bring my coupon, and the company that giving the coupon, the company sound with you people anytime they bring a coupon for you to pump that fuel, and you telling me that I should pay $500. Now, paying 500 Liberian dollars, it was wrong. It is not what supposed to happen. But at this particular time, this man is building his own law that before I put my fuel, I have to pay that money. Now, I saw it as being wrong, but because I wanted my fuel, and that is the man I put the law down, I have to pay the 500. I paid the 500, and then the man pumped the fuel, and I took the fuel. Now, the question that was asking me, did I do what is wrong, or I did what was right? And I said that, well, this is what this man culture demanded for me to pay this money, so I can pump my fuel. For me, I didn't believe that I do anything wrong or I bribe somebody. No. Even though I'm not supposed to pay that money, but this is why his culture demanded that I should pay the money in order to pump my fuel. So I have to pay the money. So I see that the same problem that what was happening with Jesus Christ and those people. So if Christ was not going to pay that money, they were going to prove that Christ is against the culture, or he came to eradicate their culture, and it's going to create a serious problem.
Yeah, thank you so much, Timothy. In fact, when you were speaking, when you began speaking, I was trying to understand how culture actually comes into what I say. But as you spoke, it now began to make sense to me. That it's actually a cultural thing, and in that case, you are not bribing your way to buy fuel. You are not bribing your way. When you bribe, is like you try to distort justice to have your way. But what you referred into was extortion. And it's not just any kind of extortion, it was institutionalized extortion, which also happens in our country, Nigeria. And that's why understanding the culture is very important. And even as I sit back, I'm in my almost 30 years of being a disciple, sometimes I wish I understood this topic like 27 years ago, 28 years ago. They would have saved me so many things. I remember that there was a disciple who was a lawyer, who baptized this guy a lawyer, and he had this guy who was discipling him. And one day we were talking about how job is. He was kind of complaining that, even if you want to file your case, the guy at the court clerk will still collect money, And this disciple began to convict this lawyer brother, bro, that is bribery. You don't bribe, whatever. And the guy was trying to say to him, I said, it's not bribery. I'm not bribing him. Whatever. Even then, I didn't know. I didn't know any better. But you see, but you know how we see things black and white. Everything is black, black and white. There is a time for this to black. When it comes to sin, it's black and white. Sin is black and white. But there are some areas that are called where you have, what they call shades of gray, where this is white, this is black, and in between. So, and this is his disciple. And then I said, bro, I didn't bribe him. I'm not asking him to do case in the court, whatever. It's extortion. But I said, no, bro, you give him money. So, institutionalize extortion. And institution, what do you do on my behalf? So we have to learn this, and it's something that we need to debate it, we need to share our thoughts, we need to really talk about our disciples. I remember when we were traveling, and now I'm going ahead of myself. When a few weeks ago, myself and Timothy brought up a question about marriage, cultural marriage, something about traditional wedding. At what point is somebody really married? At what point is a disciple really married? I know some people say, unless you do church marriage, you are not married. No matter what you do, there are churches, unless you do church wedding, you are not married. They don't care whether you go to pay the dowry, you've done traditional wedding. They don't care whether you've gone to the registry, whatever, church wedding. So we say, if you don't marry for church, God has not blessed you. They say, anyway, we're going to get to that one, as we go. So you can see why the topic of Christ and culture, as we try to bring Christ to people, what role does culture play? How do we engage the culture? Should we tell them to throw their culture away? Should we tell them to marry their culture with Christ? Should we tell them to, okay, well, Christ will supersede your culture? Should we say, no, church, let us become the society where we are becoming. Let's engulf the God. Those are questions, and it's not easy answer. Some of them are not very easy. To answer some of them is very difficult. The issue about race, Christ, and culture. Right. So that I don't jump ahead of myself too much. Let me ask Charlie, do you want to share before I go ahead?
Really, it's the same thing that what Timothy said. That was my answer. But again, I just want to explain a scenario that happened in Guinea-Conakry. Before crossing the border, even if you have the document of United States, seal and stamp, when you go to the border, that's their own culture. You put the documents and you put money. If you don't do that, they will never allow you to enter. So it's part of their culture. And some of us now have been traveling on that road for a very long time. For me, when I come to the border, I don't waste time. I know that this is their own culture. You put the documents or your ID card, or because they are not even thinking about laissez-passer and all this sort of thing. If you have it, you just put it in their table and you put money. You understand? And they will, in fact, they are the one that will call the amount, but it's not like those exorbitant amount. Like from 5,000, they know that you can pay that one. You see, so it's fixed. Nobody will go against it. Because there are times I travel like with 2 disciples. After passing the border and everything, I just do everything for them. Going to the car, they have to ask me questions. Charlie, so you two, you are into this bribing issue. I say, bros, you cannot understand. But I will explain to you. This is not about bribing. This is their own culture. Coming to this border, they don't want to even listen to what you are even saying. In fact, if you talk too much, they will add the fee. They will increase it. So what you need to do, just pay and go. You say, okay, Charlie, it's better that we travel with you. If not, I should have raised some concern. And I said, my brother, if you raise some concern about that one here, they will keep you there in their cell. So to avoid all those things, and I'm used to it because I travel frequently in this road. So that's just it. When I pay that money, we don't have any problem. As we continue, they are just asking questions about those things. So I help them to understand that this is their culture. Even if you come with Obama stamp, paper and everything, you have to pay. Even if it's Obama that stand there and come in the line, you have to pay. I said, so that's their own culture. So that's what I really want to share. And it helped me to know that, yes, every country have their own culture and what they respect. And they are not even joking with that one. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. So you can see that the issue about culture. Now the question is now, how do we engage the world? That's the question we have to ask in Christ and culture. My younger brother, my mom's last born, some few years ago, he got married to a Tanzanian. So I had to travel to Tanzania, for the door knocking, traditional, door knocking and everything. Then in that engagement, we had a engagement party and everything. So he now told me that he wants to give her the ring official. Now that the parents, we did the traditional wedding actually. We give him all the things, the cow. Of course, that one we paid a monetary form. You can imagine somebody say, we want to get married, you have to come and pay cow. We're like, what kind of cow? You learn their culture. And one of our brother that is going to get married anytime soon. The prospective father-in-law was very intrigued. They said, "Wow, he was surprised when he followed, and he's not in Nigeria. He followed another brother to one marriage ceremony, and the father of the groom, all of them went to go and prostrate in front of the father. Like, why? He was surprised. No matter how he said, I said that's the culture. You don't go and open the Bible and say in the book of Acts chapter 10, Paul told Colinus, hey, don't kneel down for me. I'm just a man yourself. No, there's a difference between honorific, respect like that and worship. We're not worshiping the person; it's just honorific. I grew up in the culture where I grew up in the Yoruba culture. Then in the 70s, the Yoruba culture was very, intense, very deep. I watch my friends go and greet their dad when they come back from work. They will run, even on the floor, on the dirty street, but they will lie down on the floor flat. That's how they greet the Yoruba culture. You go flat on the ground. The girls kneel down with their two legs. They go on two knees until it now start becoming, you use you go down on two hands, but your chest will not touch the ground. You just go down as if they're doing a press up. From there, it's just doing one hand this way. And so it's like everything from going down, they're just coming up. Right now is that you are standing. But the original Yoruba something you prostrate. The Igbo culture is the only culture I know in Nigeria that allows a young man to shake an older person. Especially if the older person brings his hand to you, can shake another person. So to show respect, they will use two hands to shake an older person. In other part of the Igbo culture, they do embrace. They kind of, you bring your hand and we almost not like hugging together. They just put their hand above each other's shoulder, this way. Of course, in the French, culture, I was surprised. They still give the kiss. So you will feel so you have to learn the culture. You have to learn the culture where you are going. And if you go to some place, in Ivory Coast and whatever, they touch their head. Even in Benin, the men would touch their head with each other's head. They would touch their side, So you have to learn, the culture, so that you'll be able to understand how you can present Christ, to them. So let me go back to this, Tanzania story. So my brother was going to marry this Tanzania lady. After the traditional wedding, of course, everything is done. So he feels that he wanted to now give her the ring, the engagement ring. Whatever. So he now told me, so how do I do it? I mean, as I got to marry before, I said, okay, know what you do. So I brought you, I said, you're going to go down on one knee. You go down on one knee. Then to me, that's romantic, right? You go down on one knee. I hope they hear all these brothers. Timothy, they listen carefully. You go down on one knee and you present the ring to her, whatever. So that's what he's going to do. So, they now brought the lady. She now opened the ring and he went down on one knee, took her hand, whatever, and the whole crowd shouted. Say, no. The ocean, no. I was so embarrassed.
No.
I was so embarrassed. The whole people shouted, no. I said, what? He said, no, in their culture, a woman does not kneel down for a man doesn't have a woman. That it is her that will kneel down. So she knelt down. Collect the ring. You see how culture can clash. Now let me tell you that story again. While we're there, we're in the living room where we're doing traditional exchange of gift, giving gift away. So in that got to a time that I'll give the mother a gift. I gave the brought a gift for the mother. I gave whatever. I was surprised. The mother with her age, when you give them gifts, they will take it and go down and roll on the floor. They roll on the floor and roll back, whatever. Then these are educated, people. They are educated. They are educated people.
Wow.
The father of this lady is a retired lecturer. The mom is a retired banker. So they are not some, the woman rolled on the floor. Everyone was clapping. She rolled on the floor, to show you appreciation. So you can imagine the culture shock that I had. It was a culture shock. It was a culture shock. That I had. So all these things are things that we need to know. As we take the gospel to another culture, we must know the culture that it belongs. When I go to Abidjan, for example, most of the time is the women that sing. Now we men too can sing, but most of the time, and one of the culture shocks that I had was, in Lagos here, our sitting arrangements is we sit very close to the stage, to where the pulpit is, very, 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 very close. But when I go to the French culture, the Ivorian and the Congolese, so there is very far. The stage is very far from the whatever. I didn't know. Then as they're singing, one person just come out dancing. I was like, what's this person doing? Dancing. Before I know it, another person, before a big circle, they're dancing round. That's their culture. So me say I join, I couldn't do Awilo Logumba. And they do Awilo. All of them were laughing. Say, man, they like. One of the sisters came to me and said, I said, man, you are dancing like a Congolese. I was doing Awilo. I was turning my waist. I was doing. Now that's another culture shock that I found. When I hear French, when I hear Soukous music, I think all French people. That's how they dance. And I found out that dance is actually the Congolese. That dance is actually Congolese dance. So in Abidjan, the men don't dance like that. It's the Congolese that will dance. They roll their bonbon, whatever. So but that's what so you have to learn that not all French people have the same culture at the same time. So you see, that's why how we communicate culture at Christ is very important. So if Jesus Christ were to say, don't pay, what will be the effect of it? Who will he be offending? Remember, they want to trap Jesus Christ. He'll be offending the lords, the Roman government. Because you pay tax. And the Jews, we accuse him of being a lawbreaker. That's it. Remember, they don't care about the Romans. All they care about is how to break this down. So if you were to say, don't pay tax, which kind, whatever, they will say, you see, he's a lawbreaker. Then they can hand it over to Rome. What if he says pay? What if he says pay? Does anybody have any idea? What's going to be the implication? If you just say pay, what will be the implication?
He's a compromiser.
A compromiser? Okay, who else again? Good.
Yeah, compromise is just what's coming to my mind. Like hypocrisy or something like that.
Hypocrites, okay. What about Charlie?
Actually, compromise too. I'm just thinking about.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay, let me help you out. You see, that's why you have to think. That is why you have to think about this topic. It's very, very crucial. That's why you have to think about this topic very well. Remember, it is the Romans who are ruling the world then. Yeah. Palestine, inclusive. If Jesus Christ comes and says, you know, don't pay tax. These people, they want to trap him. They will report, say, see, Rome, this guy is a law breaker, and they can have something to say against him. Now, if Jesus Christ says, pay tax to Caesar, who is going to, offend? He's going to offend the whatever. They're going to say, you are a traitor. You are a traitor. So you have to understand the politics going on in every culture. When somebody, if you get to a culture, find out, just like what, Charlie shared about going through the border. Now, I've never passed through, the only border I've passed through, land border is from Lagos, Seme border, then from the Togo, Benin, Togo border, I passed the Togo, Ghana border. The other border I passed through is Kenya, Tanzania border. Those are the only land borders I have passed through. Now, and I do know that extortion is the order of the day. And there are two ways to go about it. You can insist that you're not going to pay. Especially when I'm on the Nigerian side. I'm a Nigerian. I'll tell them, in fact, some Congo, Beninois, some Ivorian brothers are travel with us. Michael and what's his name again? Michael and the other brother. They were going to charge them money for stamping their whatever. Gigibe Kikimewo was there. The taxi that is taking us already told us how much we are going to pay. I said, no way. We are going to park the car. And again, because of the kind of person I am, I can be bold. Sometimes I enter there, I give them my passport, I have my yellow card, everything, stamp. Where are you guys going? We are going to, stamp. Okay, I agree. So I say, sorry, please stamp. You're wasting my time. Please stamp this thing so I can go. Now, because they don't know whether I'm a military officer, they don't know who I am. I was wearing my SWAT vest, this same vest that I'm putting on now. So they don't know who I am, whatever. So they now stamped my account. Then I gave them Quebec Men's own. They stamp whatever. They now say, these other people, they must pay. I said, listen, these are people are traveling with us. It's either you stamp them or all of us will stay here. And I go make noise. I go shout. Everybody will know. Because I know that what they're doing is illegal. What I'm doing is very illegal. Now I can at the same time just, how much is the money? 500 naira, pay them and just go. Now if those men come to me and say, oh God, find us something now, with the hungry, whatever, I can dash them on. That's begging me, I can dash them on. But that day I said, no, nobody's gonna pay. Then we finished doing that, we entered the car. The guy driving us was surprised that we paid a couple. The brothers from Ivory Coast were even shocked. Wow, man. One of them said they should be traveling with me every time they are going to travel. And that's what happened. Even when we wanted to cross the Beninois, whatever, the police people stopped us. I was speaking French to the guy. I was asking money. The guy was telling him, I said, you should go and ask us now. I told them, no, not give any money. Afterward, they allow us go. Now, you can do that and still go. Now, sometimes if they insist, whatever, you can say, let me just give them so that I can live there, whatever. You've not bribed them, they've just extorted money from you. So you have to know where where you are. I remember the time where the disciples went to go and do a singles conference in Abidjan, and they traveled from Lagos to Ghana, from Ghana to Abidjan. I was told that they really disturbed them in the Ivorian border. They made sure everybody paid. They extorted money from them. In fact, they said they are more wicked. The Ivorians are more wicked than any other person. So you have to learn. So if someone is traveling across such border, you might have to hold some extra change with you because it will extort money from you. And unfortunately, it's a negative thing for our continent and everything. But that's what happened. So if Jesus Christ says, pay, then they're going to call Jesus Christ a traitor. He's a traitor of the Jewish, this thing. Let me read what D.A. Carson wrote in his book, Christ and Culture, the revised. I also, revisited. This is one of the books I had wanted to recommend for you guys. I have it, but I felt that it would be too many books you guys are going to be reading. Look at what he wrote. He said, if he replies in the affirmative, he affirms, say, yes, pay. He risks alienating many in his Jewish audience. Remember, his whole idea is to get everybody. He risks alienating many in his Jewish audience, not only because they detested the Roman superpower, but also because the emperor whose image was on the coin was worshipped in the same sense, as in some sense divine. So can you imagine if you say, okay, pay him, whatever, you will say, so what did Jesus Christ do? Jesus Christ asked them to bring the coin. He said, whose coin is this? Everybody, of course, they know you cannot deny. Whose coin is it? Caesar be? Then give to Caesar what is Caesar. Give to God what is of God. Who can argue with that? Nobody can argue with that one. You see, nobody can argue with that one. Say, okay, if it's Caesar, then give Caesar what Caesar now. Is it my own? Give Caesar what he asked them. Anybody with a coin there? Okay, give me a coin. Whose image is this? Caesar. Oh yeah, give Caesar what Caesar. But please give God what is God. You see how he answered them, avoiding the controversy, that will have come out of that cultural, this thing. Because culture can become a trap for you if you don't understand the culture. I remember there was a time myself and Shara Kubasa, the brother who leads the church in Abuja. I used to lead the church in Ilorin, and he was my assistant then in Ilorin. And I know one time we were trying to raise awareness for Hope Worldwide and whatever. We began to go to companies. One place we went to was Emir's Palace in Ilorin. So we pin up our Hope ID card and whatever. We carried our file, everything, and we entered the Emir's. Now we were well dressed. We wore tie and nice shirt and everything. We entered and we are accosted as we enter place. And they now took us to the secretary's office. And the secretary is an educated man, very educated man. So we now introduce ourselves, what we are doing, and they tell us, wow, NGO. And we now tell them that Hope Worldwide has an affiliation with the UN, and we're here, whatever. The guy said, wow, he welcome or whatever. He said, however, we are fortunate because people don't enter the Emir's Palace, Emir's whatever, with shoes. We're supposed to remove our shoe at our entry. And we didn't know. Just wash shoe and entered our shoe, with our shoe. So he said, but of course, because he was educated, if it was all these uneducated Muslim people, they would have taken it or not. So you could see where his awareness helped him to be nice to us. But if it's not the Western awareness he has, he could reason, okay, these people don't know where. If it's the zombie awareness that some of the uneducated Muslim people have, is kill and go. They will not just, they will embarrass you and everything. So Cousin talked about how Jesus Christ used this in a good way. So what is culture? We're going to start defining what is culture. In 1 Corinthians 10, verse 23 to 30, it says, everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. Everything is permissible, but not everything is constructive. No one should seek his own good, but the good of others. So you see, let's start from there. So why are we saying this about culture? See, as you are going to be engaging the world, even in Nigeria, there are over 300 languages in Nigeria. Over 300 languages in Nigeria, and we have 1,000 dialects in Nigeria. A dialect is a variant of a language. For example, Yoruba is a language, but around Yoruba there are dozens of other dialects. Ijebu is a dialect of Yoruba. Igbira is a dialect of Yoruba. The Yoruba we speak in Lagos is like the base Yoruba language. Like the basic Yoruba language. That's actually what we speak here. Hello, you guys just log back in. Let me know you are in, guys. Unmute and let me know. Let me know you are in. I know one system logged out and that one logged in. Let me know you can hear me. Let me know you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Just...
All right. Okay, awesome. Great. All right. So what was I saying again? Okay, so in terms of culture, you must understand that everything is permissible. You can do anything, even as a Christian. Everything is permissible. Oh, I'm a Christian. I don't come under anybody's law. Jesus Christ is my king. I'm a citizen of heaven and whatever. Yeah. But you should also get an international passport to help you move around while you are here on earth. Unless you don't want to leave your country that you're living. You can't say, well, the earth is the Lord and everything in it. So I can go anywhere. I'm a disciple. I'm the King of Kings. I worship the King of Lords. You can't do that. You must also know that there are also norms that you have to obey. The Bible says everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. So you have to look at what is beneficial here. He said everything is permissible, but not everything is constructive. There are times, that I've got to the border. There was one when we are going to ICLC 2 years ago, and all of us, I made sure that everybody that is going to follow the vehicle, you must all have your passport, and to make sure that they don't have any trouble going there. I stood there until the bus came. I would have driven. I was driving my car, whatever. And when we were going, they now picked a brother. In fact, this brother is an ex-campus student. He's a professional. Some of you know him. He's an artist. And they now found out that his passport just expired. And he didn't tell anybody. It's national, and that passport even has a British visa that is there that he didn't even use, whatever. And so the custom officials, they picked it out. They now called him. Of course, they want to extort money from him. They said he has to go back. I'm like, bro, why didn't you tell me your passport has expired? There is no doubt that it's in Nigeria. There's no doubt, that's in Nigeria. So the only thing the officers asked him to do is that if you want to pass, you must bring money. Your guys, all of them met. Since we refused to pay for over almost 100 people, say this one, I will pay for this one, whatever. So I asked him, okay, how much do you have? I'm going to give them money so that I can just allow you to go in peace, whatever. And that's what happened. He's a Nigerian. He's not a thief. He's not an illegal immigrant or trying to go and do. He just want to go for a few days for conference and come back, whatever. But people say you have to. He has a passport that shows this is who I am, whatever. Only that the date has just expired. They will tell you that you need your passport needs to be 6 months. You have to have 6 months before you can travel, outside your country. So that is a kind of extortion, but it's extortion also based on the brother's stupidity. For not thinking. I mean, can you imagine carrying your passport and you don't know the passport has expired? Even though now they're doing 10 years passport for Nigeria, but then it was just about 3 or 4 years each passport. So everything is permissible, but not everything is constructive. So you can either stay there and be arguing with them, and be quarreling with them, or just still allow them to extort from you and just go. He said nobody should seek his own good, for the good of other people also. I also care, well, what good? This brother is the one that is going to be teaching us, helping us through our arts and every single thing. What do we do? Do we encourage this brother so I can encourage all of them, or do we just allow this situation go? I mean, how can you can't even go back. We're already at Benin Republic, just to cross over. So I think sometimes we have to take decision, and it's best when we open our decision to other people to wade in. What do we do? As disciples, when it comes to sin, we have to be black and white. We have to be black and white. But when it comes to doing things, taking decisions on other areas, then we have to be white. Even in sin, you can't say, oh, some of the sins kill the person. You can't do that now. I remember there was a disciple who was a guy who was a fugitive in the country, and the police were after him. He has been hiding. So disciples now met him and studied Bible with him. During his Bible studies, they now found out that he has a criminal record. He has a criminal record and has been running from the police. So what did they do? They said, okay, bro, you know what? Your spiritual life should be more important to you than going to jail or whatever. Okay, you need to, even if you go to jail, you have to be saved. So they studied the Bible with this guy. He got baptized, which is part of the agreement they had. He got baptized. Then he now turned himself over to the police. He turned himself over to the police. And police, they now put him in prison, I think for like 6 months. He went to prison for 6 months. And upon that coming out from prison, he was deported back to Nigeria. And that was when I got to know about him. The evangelist in that church now called me up. That he's sending so and so brother back home. That he's sending so and so brother, back to me. He was deported, and he's gonna. And the guy came. I met the guy. He was in church, and I found out that the region where I was leading was on the island. And I found out he lives the other side of town, like Abulegba area. Or I said, okay, Ogbaege would be a better place for him to go. So I introduced him to the regional leader, and he began to go there. So you see, we've done what is right. We didn't meet him for the first time and go and call police on him. Now be this, come and catch him. We make sure that we save his life. Then he will now encourage him to turn himself over, to the Lord. And the Lord did. Of course, obviously, when he came back, Satan took, took hold. Can you imagine the family members were opposed to him? He said, why did you come back? Whatever. And I said, I became a Christian. I'm not disciple. He said, which kind of church be that? Which kind of church be that? They're meant to come back from England, where you were. You see, the family members, they're not thinking about righteousness. They're thinking about the money. They're not thinking about the crime that the boy has committed. They're not thinking about the guy is a fugitive. What they're thinking about is money. So we're going to be faced with all kinds of decisions as disciples. So again, we ask, so what then is culture? That's the question. From the Latin verb colere, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, colere. It means literally, it means to cultivate or to grow. So culture is something that you cultivate. Culture is something that you grow. The culture of a place didn't just fall from heaven. People cultivate it. People began to do it. I was read in a place some months ago, and I posted it on my Facebook status, and I got a lot of response about it. Somebody said that tradition is nothing but peer pressure from dead people. Tradition is not but peer pressure from dead people. You are following something that dead people already place down. So you see, it is in agriculture. It refers to the breaking, tilling of ground in order to grow a crop. So that's what culture. So people break ground, they till, so they can produce a culture. Now let me read what Ken Mayers, a writer, says. He said that culture is a dynamic pattern. That's what he said. He says it keeps on changing and morphing and growing. Culture is a dynamic pattern. It's an ever-changing matrix of objects. Remember, objects, artifacts, sounds, institution, philosophy, fashion, enthusiasm, myths, prejudices, relationship, attitude, taste, ritual, habit, color, and love, all embodied in individual people, in groups and collectives and association of people, many of whom do not know they are associated. They never know associated. They just do it. Oh, bro, why do you not wear coats on top of your agbada? Because that is how we are doing it. Why is it that you don't fry plantain and put plantain inside your eba? No, we don't eat that way. People don't even know why. Okay, that's culturally, you don't do that. But they are all food. So you say there's some food that don't go together. I remember when I was in Abidjan, and I will go and eat with some couple. They have this French way of eating. They dish their food. You now take your own part. Me, I'll just take everything like we eat in Nigeria. You go to Nigerian party, you will see everything are rice. White rice, jollof rice, yellow rice, ofada rice, fried rice, everything are rice on the same plate. Every go, big plate. But so I'll just take this one, put. So the sister there looked at me and said, bro, that's not how to eat. He said, why? He said, you enjoy it. You eat it one at a time. In other words, you take the starter, the soup, you take the soup and bread, you take it. Then you not take the main course. Then you not take the salad. You not take what? Me, I just jump everything together. To me, now the same place they go. So you have to understand the culture. So here it says, also, all of these things in groups and collectives and association of people, many of whom do not know they are associated. They are in books. You find them in building, in the use of time, the use of space, in wars, in jokes, and in food. So what's culture? Culture is everything around us. Culture is what you eat. Culture is how you eat. Culture is what you wear. Culture is the kind of house you live in. Culture is the kind of job people do. Culture, it's like you can't show me an Igbo man selling suya. I've never seen an Igbo man selling suya before. I've never seen an Hausa man selling spare parts. It's just like, so culture, there's some job even in Nigeria. There's some job that are in the Igbo land. In some places it is women that sell meat, but here in Yoruba land it's men that sell meat. So it's a culture. So you have to open your eyes to culture. So Robert Redfield, he defined culture. He said culture is shared understanding made manifest in acts and artifacts. When you say acts, I say it's an act, things you do, in present. Artifacts are things we find. If you dig up in archaeology, when you dig up things, find culture are things people leave behind also. They will tell you that archaeology is the study of ancient remains, what people leave behind. Somebody brushed teeth, he threw them away. It's just a throwaway. 10,000 years after, somebody dig it up and say, wow, come and see the kind toothbrush that they use. So it now become an artifact. That is part of the culture. Even the pots that they use, spoon and everything. So where did culture come from? This is the use of word also. The genesis of culture is found in Genesis. Genesis of culture. Where did culture begin? Genesis chapter 1 verse 28 reads, God blessed them, that's man and everything he made, and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and over every living creature that moves on the ground. So how did that create culture? God said, he said, be fruitful, increase in number, fill the whole earth, subdue it, rule over it. How are you going to rule? With laws, right? Over the fish, over the birds, over the air, over everything, over the creatures that move on the ground. God said you should rule over them. That is the beginning of culture. By the time you get to chapter 2, we now begin to now see the very first part in verse 7. It says, the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostril the breath of life. He breathed into man the breath of life, and man became a living being. And the Lord God planted a garden. You see, that's already beginning of culture, agriculture. It sounds, it's a culture, agriculture. You already planting. Planted a garden in Eden, in the east, and there he puts man whom he had formed. So you can imagine culture is from like agriculture, and God cultivated the place and put man in that culture he has formed. And God took man and put him in the garden of Eden to till it and keep it, to cultivate it. That's how culture began. And by the time you go to verse 19, so out of the ground, the God formed every animal of the field, every bird of the air, and brought them to man to see what he will call them. You see, naming is also culture. You see, not in Africa here, I'm sure, all of us understand the importance of name. Name carry a lot in African culture. And it brought, God could have named all the animals by himself and give, like one someone said, and give Adam a notebook where on their names are, like a diary, like a what they call it, like an encyclopedia. But God wanted man to be involved in this culture. So he told man to give them name. Whatever the man called every living creature, that was his name. So your name is your culture of culture. In our own day, even yesterday, Bible talk, when we're choosing ourselves, you see a lot of Chi. Olu means God. Chi, like Chibike, God is strength. Like Chuku, God, glory of God, and things like that. And the crutch put it in a very nice way. He said God is perfectly capable of naming every animal and giving Adam a dictionary, but he does not. He makes room for Adam's creativity, not just waiting for Adam to give and pre-existing rights answer to a quiz, but genuinely allowing Adam to be the one who speaks something out of nothing, a name where there had been none, and allowing that that name to have its own being. Just like God spoke the word into existence, he also wanted Adam to also speak, say a name. Who gave you the idea? I don't thought about it. Your name is Giraffe. Why? See your neck. Don't see your neck as a long. You be like Giraffe. You are a horse. Why? You are husky. These are English words. But I can imagine the first language. I don't know if the first language that Adam spoke was Hebrew. We don't know exactly which language. Maybe it's Hebrew, maybe it's not, and maybe some Semitic language. But Adam began to give language. Now in Genesis chapter 3, when we get to chapter 3, we now hear, then the eyes of both were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sowed fig tree. Culture is also fashion, and they sowed fig tree, fig leaves, together, and made leon clothes for themselves. So you see how culture began to now evolve, began to whatever. So culture is not just the language you speak. Culture is not just the name you bear. Culture is also what you wear. So they began to develop, culture. For example, Cain and Abel, they learned to raise livestock and till the earth and raise crops. That's culture. So people are farmers. So people are herders. In Genesis chapter 4, verse 2. By Genesis chapter 4, Cain murdered Abel. The culture of impunitiveness, culture of murder, killing somebody, taking law to your hands. Cain. You see in Genesis. Juba played, played string instruments. The Bible says played instrument and pipe. Then musical instrument began right from Genesis chapter 4. You began to see instrumental, music, not just singing with a cappella. Instrumental. Then Juba came. He learned to forge tools. He learned to forge tools from iron, from stone, from whatever. So crafts also came in right from chapter 4 of Genesis. After the flood, what did Noah do? Noah planted a vineyard and he began to brew wine. So you can see where alcoholism, drinking wine came, alcoholism came, whatever. He became drunk, or on fermented drink, which he made. That is at chapter 7. Genesis is about 50 chapters or so. But at chapter 7, you are seeing culture has formed intensely. Of course, by chapter 11, we now see Babel, the Tower of Babel. We now see how languages were scattered all over the world. Language, culture. So who is the author of culture? God. That's why we have to study culture. So that's why worldview, and in the next few weeks, I'm going to be taking, not just you guys listen to me here, the entire class, the entire Neosom class, I'm going to take you guys on worldview. Some of these things I'm going to mention right now might be a little bit new. We are going to learn them, all this stuff. We're going to look at what is Christian theism. We're going to start from Jewish theism. That theo is God. We look at Jewish theism, Christian theism. Then what is deism? Now, I'm not going to explain these things to you, even though I'm tempted. I'm very tempted. Whatever. So you need to learn the culture. Even what people believe about God is their culture. There is naturalism. There is nihilism. There is existentialism. There is instant pantheism. Thoughts and monism. There's new ageism. There's new spirituality. You have to learn these things. If you must engage with the world, you must learn it. What about some hidden worldview? It's not written down anywhere, but you can see it in people's life. Individualism is a worldview. Me. Consumerism, like in America, is that huge in the first world, by America. Just buy. Even when you have just buy. After buying, there's nowhere to put it. You don't have to go and pay a storage facility to now store everything. It's so crazy. You eat. You add weight. They now go to the gym. Everybody, where are you going? Every Saturday, so I can go to the gym. So some people add weight so I can go to the gym to lose. I just burnt what are the biggest losers. I just burnt 50 pounds, whatever. It's a worldview. Nationalism. God's own country. It is either my country or no other country, God's own country. Then moral relativism, scientific naturalism, the new age, postmodernism. Then there's salvation by therapy. All these things you will encounter as you enter into the world. Judaism, the major world religion, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism. You must learn all these things. Christ and culture is very, very important. Then you look at modern religion that just came up, like Mormonism, like Joseph Smith. We're going to say a bit about that one when we're doing church history. Then then Scientology, Mary Baker, I believe. Yeah, Scientology, Mary Baker. Then New Age religion, New Ageism. Then New Gnosticism that is coming up right now. Then Wicca. The Wicca, of course, in America. Now we'll talk about witchcraft here. We'll talk about divination. We'll talk about all these things here. Then other cultural topics like pacifism, feminism. You see, people even write Bible. There are Bible translations today that that will not use he as a general term. They will use he and she. They will say, you are a chauvinist. How come the Bible is only using it? See, I've seen people argue about, rather than using he, you should use he and she. I've used the gender of God. But unfortunately, and funny enough, I've never seen anybody argue the gender of Satan. No woman can come and say, how come Satan is always a man? We want her to actually be, be a woman. Satan is the only person that's enjoying just to be a man. So the feminism, that's sexuality. Of course, in the next few weeks, on the 26th and 7th, we're going to be having our brother Hammond, come to talk to us about same, of course, in to strength workshop for 2 days, 5 hours each day. It's going to be fantastic. So we're going to look at that one. Fashion, why do women should not wear trousers in our church? All kinds of things that people normally bring. Oh, right now, there's a lot that is causing problem in Nigeria, in the northern Nigeria, even in Kwara State. The Kwara State government has made a law that allows all the girls to wear hijab, even if they're in a Christian missionary school. And the people are kicking that, sorry, we don't want hijab. Most of those who already have beret that they wear, they already have whatever. Why not put hijab? There is ethnicity and race. There is media in terms of movies. You see those culture in movies, in literature, in art, in video games, in all sorts. In the environment, advertisement, leadership, Christ and politics, everything should be vote. Should Christians vote? I know disciples believe that it shouldn't vote, that his vote does not count. Nobody should vote. Right? Vote or doesn't change anything. He stays away from politics completely. But I ask, don't we get affected by the things? Would Jesus Christ get to politics? Will disciples should get into politics? These are questions we need to answer. In conclusion, and I know we spent a lot of time, today. And if you can tell, my light has gone out, and that's why you're probably not seeing my face as bright as you were about an hour ago. In 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1, it says, "All rights we take captive." That's our work. When I was telling them, and I said the weapons that we fight with are not weapons of the war. They are not carnal. Paul said we take captive every thought and make them obedient to Christ. When he said that, he is talking about the church standing against arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, not against how people dress, not against the kind of food they eat, whatever. So we have to be careful. So that the way we exercise our freedom, our Christian culture, how do we whatever? We say, okay, well, we talk about things like, oh, this is a kingdom elder, kingdom teacher. We are like, hey man, we are part of the world. We can't move us. The only thing that Bible says we do, we take captive every thought and make it obedient. That every thought is argument and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. So if something is not set itself up against God, then it's okay. Clothing is good, fashion is good, but lewdness is wrong. Where you're now exposing part of the body that you shouldn't expose, then that's what we should talk about. So in our churches, rather than wasting so much energy talking about, women should not wear trousers or whatever, why don't you just preach lewdness? Lewdness is, no, there's nobody who dresses lewd in the church that I know of. Why don't you just put propriety in dressing? Propriety means that you wear the right clothes for the right occasion. For example, this same church, our church of people, where the entire church in Lagos, we meet at University of Lagos, we have our communion at university, wherever, we sing, we pray, have communion, then we now divide up. People come to church in short knicker, in trouser. The least you wear is trouser. The least anybody wears is trouser, t-shirt, everything, cap. We dress down to come. But it's simple. So how come someone does not raise their eyebrow and say, why we enter to church? Because the environment is okay, allows it. Now, because it's an informal environment. Now, when we come to a formal setting, it might not be cool for you to wear short knicker. Now, if you wear short knicker, it might not just be the tiny short knicker. It might just be like what they call this baggy, whatever. Especially if you are not doing, if you're not representing the church in any way, like coming up to make an announcement, whatever. But what if you're having that same service, a picnic service? Then you can wear short knicker. So the problem is not the short knicker. The problem is not the jeans. The problem is not the trouser. The problem is more of what Bible said, that what is fitting. Everything is permissible. What is fitting in what we're doing? So as ministers, we have to learn Christ and culture so that our answer will not be biased. Bible said that one man considers one day more important than another person. One other person considers one. Also, we should be careful how we do all of these things. So this is the introduction of Christ and culture, and we are going to take the gospel around the world. And as we do that, we are going to be learning culture. When you enter a new place, what I've learned before, I made the mistake of just entering and doing what I want to do. Right now, I ask them, before I even travel, I say, what is the culture? What do you guys do? How do I dress in that place? In fact, there was a time my wife and I, we went to a church outside Nigeria, in Africa here, outside Nigeria, to go and preach and teach, and my wife, on one of the days, I think it was on a Saturday, she wore something that she ordinarily wore here in Lagos. It was a nice dress. But it was more like a party dress. It was more like a party dress. It was a gown, a nice gown, what a party dress, whatever. After the something, one of the brothers that was there told me, I said, that some people felt that it was not an appropriate thing to wear. And I agree. And I said, it's true. And I agree. I said, yeah, that was more of an informal, was a party dress, was a gown, whatever. So, how you expect your ministered wife to dress? Their culture. They want you to dress in a particular way. So you dress that particular way. Now, you're going to help them against materialism. You're going to help them against not putting their focus or their whatever on attire, on outward appearance. But again, we need to also be mindful of the culture that we find ourselves. It is very, very important. We don't impose our culture on other people. We don't eradicate other people's culture because of our discipleship. We don't talk down their culture. We don't do their culture. Rather, we learn from their culture. The only thing that we'll be able to say no to is if that culture is not going against the command of God. It's now going against. They will not say, oh, this is where we now bring in. We'll be able to now teach them, which is now Christ, the transformer of culture. By next week, I'm going to take you guys through all those things. Christ of culture, Christ against culture, Christ with culture. But there's another one again that is Christ, the transformer. Christ can also just like transform culture. His death today had transformed so many things. Education, health service. There are more hospitals have been set up by people of Christian faith than any other person in the whole world. The rights of women have been enacted because of Christianity, and so many things. Injustice have been corrected because of Christianity. So Christ transforms the culture that we have. So, brothers, that is where we are going to stop for today. I don't know where I will. Yeah, thank you.
Wow.
So what I will do at this time, we're going to have some response. Then I will decide when to stop the live streaming. I'm going to stop it very, very soon. Sorry, the live streaming. So what I will encourage you guys, I want you guys, if you guys want to, you guys might share the link one-on-one, not in the group, for obvious reasons. You guys might, if you want to, you might share the link with some of your colleagues one-on-one, not in the group. So if you just want to come and learn his introduction, you guys can do that. So let me get some feedback.
Now Collins go share first. He go share with me.
All right. Thank you, Uncle, for that message.
Sorry guys, we have to end by 12 noon. I have a revelation class to teach to the Kenyan church, so I need to prepare myself by 12. Forget about. We have to end at 12 on the day.
All right, thank you. Let me just be brief. Thank you very much for that expository and how you were able to explain it. But me, I was even looking close to even right here in Nigeria. We have even regions have their own culture. And I remember a brother from campus when he came to Ibadan talking about Ife. Ife had this dread, and this guy he didn't do anything like. Then he was a teenager when he went from IB to Lagos. Then it was during teen service. If I was the one that normally preach during teen service and all that, do communion. But when he came out with the dread, people struggled. People struggled with the dread. And I've seen people ask me questions several times, even while in campus, that why is it that some of our campus students, they put dread, they do this, the sisters wear trousers. Sometimes explaining it to them is I don't know. Sometimes it's difficult for me because I don't even know how to, even if I try to explain it, but sometimes they are not really getting it. So I said one day I will just ask you, but thank God this is coming up. How do we really defend this? How do we defend it to other regions? That's just my question.
Thank you. That answer will not be answered today. That question will not be answered today. We're going to answer it. We have 8 classes to go, and we are going to be breaking this thing down. So what I want you to do is to tabulate all these clash of culture that you see. It's not culture of the campus students. It's just you see, we are growing into a culture. When I was growing up, the style of fashion is different. It was bongo, or what we call bongo. That's what we normally wear. Where the base of your trouser is very big, and you now wear platform shoe, very high heel shoe. Men, then those maybe in the next class I'm going to bring guys some photographs. I'll bring guys photographs of my uncle and my dad, and how even me, some of my address, even some of the last class I did with you guys, and you guys were there when I shared the golden age. Some of you see this, the coats. Some of you say, the coats where they wear. That's what we wear. Oversized clothes was the culture in those days. In fact, we go to market and we demand for oversized clothes. You guys say, big shirts. So they're shaking material, going to shake as you wear them. Even if you look at the Super Eagles, 15 years ago, you see what they wear. I'm not catching all of them. Big one. Right now is huggy, body hug. Even some of these pencil people wear right now, this tight trouser. It ran in the 80s. It was 80s. Sorry, late 80s, early mid 80s, fashion, where you will sew pencil, was very nice back. Even haircuts, that's what they call Bobby Brown, that bevel this way. That is Mike Tyson. The women we do and it picker where they will cock on the back and whatever. It's just it. Now, can you imagine this same person who is talking about dreadlocks? It's because of the cultural innuendos that we use and have, and also the influence. Can you imagine disciples go to a place like Jamaica and see a lot of people wearing it? What will you do? Will you go and die? Will you go and kill yourself? So you have to understand. And again, that's why we need to continue to teach and train. Teaching is very important in the church. And that's one thing we need to do more of, teaching. And because a lot of us come with so many presuppositions, so many things, and whatever. Look at even in my culture, married women must tie their hair. Must tie scarf. Single women don't really tie scarf. But the Yoruba people have taken scarf tying to a different level, where it's no more just bag, just scatter. They will now be like make it very nice. Even single women want to wear that. So you see how the culture is changing. The picture of Layo Bonaya I showed you guys in the late 90s, in the late 90s, what she was wearing was a wrapper. She was tying a wrapper actually, but it was just knee length. They call it oleku. That's a hot one, man. It's like mini whatever, wrapper. But you see, but people know wrapper is also be all the way down. Then after that one, they began to tie one that you tie a one piece, which is full length. Then you not tie one around your bum bum. The women will not tie one just around their bum bum and put whatever. All kinds. So we have to see how culture changes. In the Igbo land today, the women wear what they call show back. Their blouses neck is usually very big. Wear white and their scarf and everything. So you have to understand the culture. When I was doing my graduation in school, I tied wrapper, and I'm also going to show you guys the picture. I wore whites, I wore beads, I tied wrapper with some beads on my hand, beads on my neck. Then I wore the graduation gown. I wore my cap. Okay, that's my culture. In my matriculation, I wore suits. Graduation, I don't feel that I wore all this suit in me. I beg, make I wear something, whatever. But that is my suit in my own culture. Now you can laugh at me, and I've also made up my mind in my graduation, in my master's graduation. If it's ever going to hold, I'm not going to wear suit and tie. I'm going to wear my African dress. I already have what I'm going to my African attire. That's what I'm going to wear. I'm going to wear whatever. But that's my culture. Right now in church, we see how we are morphing now. Preachers are no longer just wearing coat and tie. Preachers are now wearing our own African dress. We are now getting proud of our own African attire. If you wear coat and tie, fine. You can also wear your African attire, as long as it doesn't break the law of God. And that law of God is lewdness. It can't be lewd. Bible talk about being lewd. It can't be exposing body parts that you're not supposed to expose. In Ghana, the traditional wear for men is the kekete material. They just tie it around themselves and on their wrist. They don't wear top. I grew up watching a newscaster star here in Nigeria. I've forgotten the name of that man. He reads this news in my own language, in the Igbo language. Men just tie wrapper. They tie wrapper They put feather on their head, wear their cap, then maybe they can put chalk on their eyes and put whatever, and that's how they wear bare chest. There's a newscaster in Nigeria that used to come to read the bare chest in the 70s and 80s. That was it, because in NTA, they try to project the African culture. The women will tie their gele or whatever. And this guy will come to read the news, will just tie his wrapper this way, bare chest, and he's hairy, bare chest, and wear his Igbo cap and put a band around whatever here. And that was awesome. Now I know that if you go to Ghana, the brothers don't wear their clothes, they'll wear a t-shirt under before they now wear this thing. Even now in my culture, the men can wear like a t-shirt, white t-shirt, and then not tie the wrapper. Because of course, that's Christ and culture. Okay, let's take away the youthfulness out of it and still, be able to wear our this. So how do we marry the two? Okay, so that's actually a long answer to a short question, or to a short response. Does anybody have any other response?
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, Uncle, thank you so much. This class is going to break the walls of my mind. I think that what I'm seeing, my prayer is that I should learn as much as I can learn, because this class, or if it was a book, I would say it is so voluminous. And thank you so much for opening our mind. I mean, this class already gave me interest to dive in more into that book, or put more interest in it, and read it and try to understand it. I think the class today will guide me to know how to understand when I'm reading. Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. So what we're going to do right now, I'm going to say a prayer, then we are going to run. Remember, today is also devotional, but I'm going to be teaching my class. So I'll probably be jumping from my class to the devotional. I don't, but I'm teaching Revelation chapter 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe to 10 or more, today to the guys in East Africa. So that's how it's going to be. They are 2 hours ahead of us. So that makes it close for me. So let's say prayer. Our next class will be Monday. Let's meet Monday morning, 10 o'clock. Monday at 10 o'clock. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
All right. So let's pray. Father, we thank you so much for just giving us culture and just a reason to be unique. Thank you for today. Thank you for what we have learned. Even as we begin to read, I pray that you give us a sense of gratitude for the things you've made, and a sense of responsibility also. I pray you build my brothers as they learn. I pray that you bless all they are learning, and I pray, God Almighty, that at the end of the day, glory and honor will be yours. Even as other people might choose to listen to this class, sometime in the week or there, I pray that you also help them learn also